Hi, welcome to Project Marlin. You might remember another video finding me sat a bit like this, complaining that nothing was going right, and didn't know if I'd ever be able to do the truck. Not much is going right, and I still don't know if I'm going to be able to do the truck, but just had a little bit of a breakthrough. Something I haven't touched for a long time. I've decided today to have a look around. There's a few things I really want to get written down on paper. I want to know what pump's in this thing. I want to have a better look around the pump area. This gives me two options. I either try and get the plate out at the side of me here, which I tried for a couple of hours or more back in November, December time. I had real trouble. Or I take the deck plates up. Well, the deck plates are all flat-headed screws, countersunk screws, into steel through aluminium, and I can't imagine they're going to come out too easily. I think they're going to be drilled out, and we'll have to completely drill them out, which is going to be a real pain. It's got to happen because all that framework that supports it needs to be, if not taken off the truck, because there's a lot attached to it, at least you need to get around it, cleaned up, and some paint on it because it's quite rusty in places. So it leaves this panel. Now I've had to go with a hammer, some screwdrivers and a tyre lever, and I don't know if you can see, but we've actually, this is the corner that we could not move, and it's out. It's come out now. So part of the problem is this piece here is been rusted onto it, so it's pulled the back out a bit. This will have to be made good. It's going to have to all be taken off both sides. It's going to be sanded down, repainted before it goes back in. Now I believe from Mr. Porter that once I've got the top out and I get this bit knocked back in, the whole thing is on a couple of pegs, so it needs to come up then. So that's going to be the next bit of fun, but there is a bracket on here that's quite close to a major support. I might be able to get the trolley jack under it, just put a bit of pressure on it while I wiggle it. So I haven't got the tripod or the big camera today. Not sure why I didn't bring them, but it was a last minute decision to try and do this. I don't know if the batteries would have had any charging anyway. So we're on my phone. I'm going to pull this out and we'll see how it goes. Cracking. So I didn't really know what to expect under here. This wasn't it because of the controls. We've got here a control for changing the foam injection percentage. So we're on 6%. We've got 3% here. This must be for the monitor, I presume. I'm not really sure. Because this pipe here goes up to the monitor. These pipes down here go off to the outlet, no, the inlet to the pump. So they're like a return unit. Over here we've got a pipe which comes from these inductors. These are the valves that control the foam flow and they go through these little valves. Oh, you can't see these little valves here on top. There's a plate upstairs up on the deck where you can open up and you can change those to the percentage. So this must also change the flow. There's one here that's just a bolt. So that's that. Obviously you can see in the side locker on that side. Well, I've got the cover down. Okay, right, now we've got this valve here which is a flow control valve. A hydraulic control valve. Maybe this is, do you know what, I have no idea what this is. I'm guessing it's to do with the won't be PTO engagement, I don't know. Maybe it's to do with the hydraulic movement of the monitor. So that's something I've got to think about. Over here we've got back of the control valves which operate what's all the air solenoids basically to make everything operate. That's accessible through the side lock on the other side, and you see the grey thing there is the door of the electrical box, which is open. see these air dryer and oiler, which needs oil replacing. This is something. I have no idea what that is. That tap's stuck. That appears to be. That must be a flow bypass. So when the pump's running, do you know, this is so complicated. This is not as. I thought would have the water coming from the tank down here into the pump, out of the pump, then through the foam inductors to provide a sort of, or a flow through the foam inductors to push it back into the main pipes, and then it would just tee off, one up to the monitor, one down to the, or something down to the sidelines and the front and all that sort of thing. It's a lot more complicated than that. There's these valves here, which this has got a drain in it, so it looks like there would be water. Oh, that's seized. These are lock wires, so we can't change them. But this one is free, but there's no labels on here that I can see. So yeah, we have a pipe there with the cut-off valve that you can't. Maybe you can get to. Oh yeah, you can get to that. So that goes down again to the foam tank flow. That looks like it's open. So this one here is linked directly to the valve that works the monitor, I think. Looking up above, yeah. So the valve upstairs, the yellow one, that opens and closes the monitor flow, is linked to this one. That one is your main flow to tank. We've got the main foam ones back there. There is another valve somewhere back there that has got a cable on it that's disconnected, but that's, I think, for the fill. I'm probably boring the hell out of you now. I'm going to. Well, that's nastily parish, isn't it? I'm going to stop recording and I'm going to have a bit of a look round and try and work out what's going on. Well, might seem a bit excessive, but we've just been having a bit of a look at, I say I've been having a look at the metal frame that the panel sits in. And what I'll do, I'll just show you what I've done. So we've got wire brush on the grinder. I've run round the outside of the frame quickly, but what's happened is this is just absolutely, it's gone. Basically, all of this, I don't know why you see that, it's absolutely shot. All of this piece is just completely gone, disintegrated. This isn't too bad, this is gone. I've not even attempted on this piece. So I'm going to have to work out how to get this paneling off, I think. So at least I can take the inside, strip out some of the inside of this cab. It might be be easier to look at things. Not ideal, it's not really what I want to do, but this is only angle welded on with the hole drilled and tapped, which isn't a problem. Well, I say it's not a problem, I hope it's not a problem. So it should be fairly easy to replace. It's just we can't get behind here. Might be able to get at the top, get into here to weld, and down there is going to be quite difficult. Oops, sorry, if I actually point. So behind here, to do from in the lockers, along here is going to be a lot more difficult. So yeah, it's going to have to be done though. I can probably, to be honest, as long as these corners are solid, the two corners and the two pinholes, the thing will go back in there. It's just I won't be able to have a seal. but it'd be nice to have a seal because it'd be nice to have a weather-tight cab. Forgot to add, through the amazing powers of Facebook, Mark, who's been a great help to me already, he sent me some messages and he's explained that yes, these are definitely foam inductors, which is good to know. He's also said he'll try to find me some diagrams, which will be absolutely fantastic. This is to do with on and off and the pressure setting for the pump bypass, because this pump apparently is capable of about 20 bar, but for the foam system it can only go up to 14. So this allows, once the pump's up to 14 bar, it stops increasing any higher. Apparently this here, which I thought was an adjuster, Mark said there's a filter behind there. You unscrew it out and you can take a filter out, so I might have a look at that. And this bit is the actual regulator itself. This is the pilot valve and that's the regulator, and he showed me a picture with a big piston and a spring and that inside here. So that's been really helpful. What I'll do, I will put a link to Mark's Facebook page down in the description for this video, because there's some fantastic, if you're interested in these trucks, especially the Boughton and the Barracudas, Mark's got loads of pictures of Barracudas and stuff he's worked on. He's got pictures of one with a cab completely stripped down. He's got pictures of I think it was the last Barracuda actually being built. Some great pictures and some good videos on there, so I'll put a link to his Facebook page down in the description. So I know I've just turned the old go around so the cab's at the easier end to get to. One of the reasons is I'm going to be starting to pull things out of here, I think. That back wall, which looks even dirtier than it actually is on the camera, that appears to be glued in. Now this headlining is aluminium. I don't know if it's my arm, you can see there, that's not a lot of good. It's aluminium up here with fabric stuck on it, and the aluminium is riveted underneath the fabric. Well, the fabric's a bit of a mess, but I do know that this one had the fabric headlining put in specially, and none of the others had it. So I don't want to lose the fabric headlining. So what I need to do is try and find a replacement for it, because I think it'll probably rip when we're trying to get it down. So we need to get that down and get these interior panels drilled off. That way when we put it together again, the wire in there, which is for the beacon, and these holes which are where that were drilled to put the beacon on, and possibly that hole there which we've only just noticed, we can cover those up so we don't see them, and we can maybe fit sun visors to it again instead of using it as a wire clamp. I wonder what that is. Anyway, that's besides the point really. I want to try and find a source of this stuff. Once I can, I'll be a lot more happier pulling the stuff off. I mean, it's come off in places. It's hanging down here. Whoops a daisy. If I just show you where it's all hanging off up here, that is, I don't know if you can see in the sun, it's all mouldy and pretty manky and it's torn down there. So I mean, if we can replace this stuff, it'll be a lot nicer. One thing that's gone a bit unmentioned is this keeps cropping up in the background of videos now, or it will do, rather than the Land Rover. The Land Rover needs quite a bit of work, not as much as Marlin, but I'm waiting to try and get some undercover space to do the work on it. So we've got this now. The benefit to this is, excuse the wind, we've got onboard air and we've got onboard 110 volt power. We've got 36 amps, 34 amps, 32 amps of onboard power, and 120, 140 cubic feet a minute of compressed air, which will make doing things on this old lady a lot easier. Oh, one other thing I was going to it's a bit of a question to you. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do anyway, but I'd like to know other people's opinions. At the moment, she's covered in Battenberg and high-vis markings all around the cab and all outline markings. Do you think it should stay in this modern sort of livery, or should she go back to her old early 90s livery? Let me know in the comments what you think. It'd be quite interesting really to know what other people think about it. Well, that's just about it for today. I did accidentally take a picture instead of filming one of the clips that I filmed, but I don't think it was overly exciting. I went today with the intention of doing a couple of jobs. Obviously, as you've seen, it's turned into looking at the cab. One thing that I did manage to do is I found that thinners and petrol actually loosens the glue on the floor covering. So I'm going to try and get all the floor covering up, or as much as I can, get the seats out. Apart from the driver's seat, because at the moment I might have to move it at short notice. So the driver's seat will have to come out and go back in, but the rest can come out. I need to do something about the headlining, so I need to find out what it is. Can I still get it? What's close I can get to it? Or can I debond it from the metalwork without damaging it? Cellulose thinners is probably going to melt it, I think, and petrol's not going to be. That's the other option for the floor, but that's not going to be a suitable option for the roof lining. It's also a bit of it's not the best stuff to use, really, petrol, for anything like that. So that's my next thing. I've got to assess the cab properly. Every time I look at it, it's a bit worse. The framework that's around all the pump that's holding all the valves, I've spotted a bad bit of that needs some attention. So there's probably going to be a lot of stripping down on the locker to do as well. Like I said, I'm stuck at the moment. I can't go too far on a complete strip down on the cab because it's not in a place it can stay for an extended period of time at the minute, or it's possible it's not in a place. I need to get that confirmed or not, whether I can disable it or not while it's parked there. So at the moment, as far as I'm aware, it has to stay drivable. Isn't ideal, not for what I want to do, but we will have a go at stripping what we can out of the cab, seeing how bad it is, bits we can get to without taking all the dashboard out and the windscreen and exterior panels. We might see if we can start tidying a bit of the floor up, or at least cutting out bad bits of the floor ready to put new bits in. I think the main part of the floor we're going to have to take air tanks off and things like that, so again, we can't do that at the moment, but in the next couple of weeks I will try and get that sorted, so I know what I can, so I can get sorted and start doing some major work, because really I've done some quite good things on the truck so far, but until that cab's sorted, the metalwork needs to be sorted, and without that, there's the rest of it can all go hang, really, unfortunately. There's no point in fixing the brakes any more than they are, if the cab's completely rotten, and yeah, that's the biggest thing we've got to do at the moment. And so yeah, we've got to get the welding and the metalwork sorted. I've rambled on like usual a bit. I'm trying to think. I did mention earlier on about if you think it should stay in the Battenberg high-vis modern markings, let us know. If you think it should go back to its old livery, which was just plain red with the airport fire service markings on the side, let us know that. I'm leaning one way at the moment, but it'd be interesting to see what other people think. I'm going to put the link to Mark's page down in the descriptions. I will just quickly check, because every time I mention Mark's page I get it wrong. The name of it, ARFF Vehicle Support Limited. Have a look at his Facebook page. Got some great videos and some great pictures of airport firefighting trucks on there that he's worked on over the years. It's quite impressive, really. One last thing before I go. There's always one last thing. After the last video, I was talking about funding the truck and whether I can afford to do the truck. At the moment, I can't afford to completely restore the truck. I can't afford to do much more than I'm doing at the moment. So rather than start doing just giving her a Patreon or something like that, we're in the process of setting up an online web shop. So it's via a company that does this for quite a lot of YouTube channels. But in the next couple of weeks, we will have T-shirts, mugs, and stickers available, and a certain proportion, not a huge amount, but a certain proportion of every bit that gets sold will come to us, and it will go towards parts for the truck. I'm also planning on setting up a website. On the website, I'm going to start, amongst other things, possibly listing, not detailed accounts, but listing the cost of certain parts, and also I will be putting, once the parts are bought, whether or not they've been funded by any of this merchandise sale. That's if we sell any. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please click like. If you've not subscribed before, please subscribe, and tell anybody you think they'd be interested in watching these videos to come and like and subscribe us. So it's well, I suppose it's goodbye today, and we'll see you again soon. Cheerio.